Welcome back. Now, by way of introduction, I am Shaliza Coley. I'm an internist, I'm a physician coach. I help busy physicians defeat and prevent burnout, as well as create options for themselves, both inside of and outside of traditional medicine. These options include freedom, fun, autonomy, and multiple streams of income. I do this through life, career, and business coaching for physicians. So, let me kind of go back a little bit because I've been doing this podcast. I've done some client success interviews and things like that, and I'm noticing that I'm getting to know a bunch of new people joining in this journey with me. So, a little bit about myself. So, in 2007, I was an intern in a very busy hospital in Chicago, and I burnt out. I burnt out pretty bad, but I recovered from that, and it's another story of that journey, and but I did start to think that, oh, you know what? Once I become an attending physician, everything will be fine. Everything will be hunky dory. I'll never burn out again. I'll never have to deal with this, that, and the other. Whatever I felt that I was dealing with as a resident, that I wouldn't have to deal with it as an attending. I thought I would be less busy. There'll be nobody telling me what to do. But little did I realize that being an attending has its own peculiar challenges as well. So anyway, long story short, I went from being an outpatient internist and then after doing that for a few years, I went into non-clinical medicine, which was a whole lot of fun. And but in the meantime, I started my coaching business in 2015. Now, by 2020, I realized it was time to just pack all the other pieces in and jump straight into doing this full time, helping my colleagues live better lives, basically jumping into what I've something that I've always wanted to do, something I wanted to do for a long time. And if you've heard my story before, you may have heard that I'd wanted to be a life coach since 2004. And in fact, since the age of 15, I've always wanted to be sort of in the quote unquote self-help space. That's what I hardly hear that term used nowadays, but I always wanted to be in the self-help space ever since I was a teenager. But anyway, like I said, another story for another day. I could kind of get into that later on. But just that being able to help physicians have a better quality of life is something that I wanted to do for a long time. Even just little things that I would do during residency, helping my interns find shortcuts to doing various things. Obviously not unethical shortcuts, but, workable shortcuts, creating systems to, do their work properly, do it on time, helping them figure out the IT and stuff like that. And generally, taking under my wings the new interns and residents as they came in. Anyway, my clients overall as physicians have gained better quality of life. They've started businesses. They've definitely made more money. They've become happier, gotten spouses, and on it goes, right? Because as a coach, you deal with whatever the person brings to you and not so much whatever agenda you have, even though, of course, there are times when you have to explain to people your business and what you do. But people ask me, what do you help your clients do? And I say, whatever they want, right? So today with that, I'm going to talk about 7 essentials to thriving as an attending physician. So, hang on to your hats. This is going to be a fun ride. Once again, as attending, sometimes as residents, we think that, once I become an attending, all my problems will go away. But as the saying goes, new devil, new level. When you become an attending, all your problems don't necessarily disappear. They just morph into new ones. And it's better to know what types of things you can face in order to face them head on. And, even if you're not a new attending and you're listening to this, some of these things can help you realize that, maybe the discontent that you may feel is not unwarranted. So I'm going to share 7 things with you, and I'm just going to go straight into it. Number 1, taming the EHR beast. I call it the EMR beast or the EHR beast because a lot of times when you talk to physicians and you say EHR, we all roll our collective eyes. And, there are many reasons for that. So I've worked with clients over, the last, since I became a coach, helping them tame the EHR beast. Now, EHR is here to stay. And we can go into denial over that and pretend that one day it's all going to go away and we're going to go back to written, but that's not going to happen. Okay. And one of the things I help clients do is help them manage their charting. Okay. There are some clients that come to me. There was this particular lady, she was a pediatrician. When she started with me, she had more than 60 outstanding charts. By the time she was done with the program, 6 months later, it didn't take 6 months, but by then she wasn't having any charts at all left at the end of the day. Okay, I certainly learned, and I had to figure out my own way to do charting, because when I became an attending, there was nobody to help me to manage my chart. So I had to figure it out, and I just reversed engineered it from, okay, I don't want to do charts at home. Now, how do I figure it out to where I'm not coming home and spending 3 to 4 hours in the evening doing charts? You have to tame the EHR beast, or else your quality of life will pretty much disappear, and there are many ways to do this. Of course, like when I work with clients one-on-one, we go through the type of EHR, the type of shortcuts, the type of different things they can do specifically, and I go through the workflow for their day to help them figure out how to chart better. But generally speaking, we all know that electronic health records has contributed to physician burnout. It has also contributed to useless data, adds extra 2 hours to a doctor's day, wastes time, is unaccounted for in daily workflow, and it seems to be more for billing than patient care. Now, as a doctor, you need to be able to, one, see EHR as part of your workday. Okay, it's part of your workday. It's not, electronic health records is not something you do when you finish seeing patients at the end of your day in your own spare time. That is just cheating yourself. You need to start to customize and make it part of your workday, not something you do in your personal spare time. Using as many shortcuts and templates as possible and effectively, planning to finish charts before you go home, ideally as you're seeing patients. I'm going to throw down a gauntlet and say that if you are an outpatient physician, like you do outpatients alone, okay, you should not be doing charts at home, ever. If I can do it, so can you. And now, listen to that caveat. If you're doing outpatient alone, there's a different workaround for people who do surgeries, people who do inpatients and all of that. But it can be done. I have clients who are surgeons and they're doing their charts. But if you're an outpatient physician, you have no reason to be charting at home. No. There's a way to do it where you can chart at work. It's how you get paid, so it's important. Don't look at the chart as, that inconvenient thing that I just have to do when I get to it. No, it's part of you seeing the patient. It's better for you to add 5 minutes to every visit to see while seeing patients, doing the charts, than to wait till the end of the day. Now you have to spend 4 hours. You can't remember whether it was Miss Jones or Mr. Jones that had heart failure. You can't remember what. And it takes longer than when you're doing it in the moment. And when you have to do it in the moment, it just makes you do it faster, right? Whereas if at the end of the day, you're like, oh my God, I hate doing this. And you vacillate and it takes even longer to start and you're even more tired. So it now takes longer. You leave it till the next day and it's just a whole mess. Start to see doing charts at home as something of a last resort than just something you is going to be just normal to do. Now, consider scribes. Consider dictation. Consider, if you're a medical director, consider using the EHR that's the gold standard for your field. Obviously, I can't say which one it is, and I don't know. New EHRs are probably coming out, and I also know that there are some pretty bad EHRs out there. Trying to save money by buying a bad, cheap EHR will cost you on the long run. If you're watching this and you're like a medical director or someone who has any type of influence, you have to find a system that works for you, both in terms of the EHR you use, if you have that type of influence, and if you don't have that type of influence, you making the EHR work for you in the best way that you can. Point number 2, there's a myth of less busy. Now, of course, depending on where you are in your medical career, you real quickly have realized that you're not getting less busy, right? No matter who you are or where you are, Your life gets more busy as you get older. I always say more busy and more expensive. Life doesn't get less busy or less expensive. That's just the way it is. So, instead of looking for, when I get less busy, I'm going to do that. When I get less busy and just getting more and more busy and more frustrated, look for ways to delegate, to automate, and streamline things in order to avoid overwork. Overwork is a contributor to burnout. And that myth that, I'll be less busy one day is just something that's never panned out. So take your busy life, right? And make it work for you. One of the things I do with clients too is help them develop more efficient systems. Who can we hire? What can we do? What can we automate? Both for home and work. Because it's the same you that can have everything going well at work, and then you go home and everything is chaotic because you're overworking, not just at work, but at home too, right? So this is the time to ask yourself this question. What if the solution to my problems is not do more or work harder? Because as a doctor, I can guarantee you're already working very, very hard. Okay? There's only so much you can do. So start to incorporate ways in which you can delegate, automate, or hire out certain things so that you can just be doing your best and your highest. Number 3, another essential to thriving as an attending is handling the money myth. Okay? You're not poor, but you're not rich either. Again, I'm coming from a place of primary care. Most doctors in the US are primary care doctors. The highest percentage are primary care. So you're a general, you're a family practice, you're an internist, you're a pediatrician, you're a hospital of some kind, primary care. Most people are in primary care. Most primary care doctors, yes, you get a living wage. We know that you make 6 figures, but you're not a Jeff Bezos, right? You're not an Elon Musk or a Warren Buffett or, who else? Anyone knows? Bill Gates. So don't stop seeing yourself like you're that. Other people may look at you as rich and think you're hype because, maybe one day you bought a nice purse or you have a nice car or whatever. But be very savvy about what you do with your body. Okay? Especially if you're employed. One day your employer could just sweep the rug from right under your feet and you will be without a job. And, rumor has it, or I don't know, I'm going to say rumor has it because I haven't read up on this, that everyone in this country is a paycheck away from homelessness. So a lot of physicians feel as though I have money. So they feel on some sort of obligation to give, to lend, and pay for sundry things for various people. If you fall into that category, I beg you, instead of looking at your gross pay per year as your money, look at it objectively as what it really is. Let's say you earn $200,000, for example. Again, so many physicians earn more, but many physicians earn less. That $200,000 that they wrote on your contract is not all going to go into your freaking pocket. You're going to pay 40% of that in taxes if you're W-2. You're going to pay for malpractice insurance. You're going to pay for health insurance. You're going to pay your car note. You're going to pay your mortgage. You're going to pay your child school fees. You're going to pay for books. You're going to pay for... By the time you spin that down, what do you have, right? So don't look at yourself as, I have this money. And then don't feel bad if you don't feel rich. Because I'm making all this money now. I should, it's what the money is going to, or what you've paid out already, even before the money comes into your pocket, and all the obligations that are already on that money. Your school loan, if you have a school loan, that has to be repaid, right? So common sense things like budgeting, saving should not be thrown out of the window just because you're an attending. I guess it's more for the new attendings, right? and now you have a livable wage, you get to sit down. Don't tell yourself any stories like, oh, well, I have all this money. Why don't I feel like it? Just deal with what you have in front of you, right? And figure out ways to make your money grow, right? Figure out ways to use your money to help yourself live a better life, right? Before you think, oh, you have to lend, you have to give. I have a lot of physician forums, and people are always talking about how, oh, we need to give, people are always asking to lend money, blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, I don't have that problem, because whenever people ask to lend money, I just say no. And now they don't ask me anymore because they know I'm going to say no. Like, why should I lend you money? I'm not a bank. Then again, this is me, right? And I'm not saying, this is not saying to don't lend anybody money, but really start to think, is that what you're obligated to do for people? Don't throw common sense out of the window because you now have a livable wage. Number 4, speaking of money, number 4 is having a team for your life. I always recommend that doctors, every attending, you should have a life coach to start with. Now, you look at your employers, your C-suite executive, all of them have life coaches, executive coaches, etc., etc. They're not doing this on their own, but all of a sudden you think you're going to manage every single aspect of your life, your career, your business, your family on your own without any help. That's unrealistic, and it's a fallacy that sets yourself up for failure. What you want to do is have a team for your life. You want to have a team for your life. And, one, like I said, having a life coach, right? A life coach is number 1. The second thing is you should have a doctor, you should have a therapist, you should have things like maybe a mentor, either a work mentor, you could have a spiritual mentor if you're spiritual, and also a group of people, a brotherhood or a sisterhood that can help you through the challenges of life. Nobody can go it alone. If you fall apart, as a physician, you're a leader. If you fall apart, everything around you falls apart too. Everything. Because you're holding up so much. So because you're holding up so much, you yourself need to have something. You're a very strong support system, right? And I always say start with a life coach, right? Because a life coach can help you look at your life and finesse and help you decide what kind of support you need. So now, I've talked about, talked a little bit about myself. I talked about taming the EHR beast. I've talked about the myth of less busy, right? The money myth and having a team for your life. Next week, I will continue on this trend talking about 7 essentials that you need to thrive as an attending physician. So stay tuned, and I'll be back here next week continuing this conversation. If in the meantime you like what you hear or see, and you're listening to this, I'm doing this on podcasts as well as YouTube, and you like what you see or hear, book a call with me, which will be in the links attached to the video. Book a call with me. I can start you off with some strategy, a free call with some strategy, and then we can decide, we can decide if you want to continue to work with me, or you want to work with me as it continue. You want to work with me on a long-term basis as your personal life, career, or business coach. So have a wonderful, wonderful day, and I will talk to you next week.